gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. You still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.
A Russian scientist claims to have created his own version of the Fountain of Youth. He says when perfected, all you have to do is pop a pill to stay as youthful as you want. The medicine is currently undergoing tests, but could be on sale within a few years. RT's Natalia Novikova has been finding out more.
It looks complicated, and it is. It's almost a life's work for Vladimir Skulachev. 2 more years of testing, and the doctor thinks he will have finally cracked the enigma of aging. Let's get the science over with now. Apparently, it's all about how oxygen reacts in your body.
99% of the time, it turns into harmless water, but there's that 1% that turns into superoxide that later turns into very poisonous elements. So the task was to find an antioxidant that stops that process.
And hence, according to the professor, stops anyone from getting old. He's been working to perfect his treatment for more than 40 years. The hard thing has been to try and stop any possible side effects. Colleagues from around the world think Professor Skulachev is onto something.
It's very realistic because it has been shown that oxidative damage is huge, but we don't have antioxidants of the type that Skulachev has developed. And he is, coined the term bioenergetics. He is clearly the world's best biochemist, bioenergetics person.
Let me get into some news on the authoritarian angle first, and then I'm going to get into Harvard scientists reverse the aging process in mice, now for humans. They've had this very type of technology for at least 20 years. When I was first on air 17 years ago, this was well established in different scientific journals. They're just now advertising it. And it's already on the market for many elites. But under bioethics, you will not have access to it. Unless we take our society back, but to do that, you'll have to control your own destiny and control the type of news you're into, and not just let them tell you what you're going to be watching. You just see that the federal government is a pack of larcenous criminals. At the top, this country is full of good people. It's full of good people even in government. It's full of good people in the private sector. But at the top, the criminals have taken control. And it's a very simple equation. But sometimes simple things are hard to get. When good people don't get into the positions in business and government and religion and everything, and when good people don't fight to be in control of society, and when good people don't stand up for their own private property and their own family, when you're not territorial, the hyenas come in, the jackals come in, the wolves come in, the weevils come in, and they eat our lunch. Because evil people then fill all of those spaces. And then the evil people, something happens after that. The old-fashioned evil that's just boss hog, it gets supplanted once good stands down by even more and more reckless evil, vicious evil, evil so dark it can't even be imagined by people that aren't given over to wickedness. And so there's a competition within the power structure where the survival of the most wicked, not survival of the fittest, but survival of the most cancerous, the most malignant, gets into the system and takes over. And then you get a hyper-tyranny. And hyper-tyrannies always grow like a tropism, the same web, the same structure. They build pyramids, and they chop hearts out, and they eat children. And you're like, boy, that sounds crazy. Have you read a history book? Every culture ends up building pyramids and throwing children into fiery pits, chopping hearts out, slitting throats, raping virgins, giant wars, black uniforms, smoke, death, murder, destruction, torture. That's what psychopaths are into, the most vicious type. And they compete with each other, and so that manifestation, that signature transmission, then manifest. So that's the domino effect. Good people stand down, evil comes in and takes over. Then evil competes with itself, and the maximum evil is then purified. The essence of evil, the primordial prime evil, is then manifest. Hell's gates are opened. Giant war, famine, destruction, total loss of security then ensues. And all the trappings of that evil wavelength is now transmitting. And we see it building like nanotech in front of us. The giant armies, the pyramids, the secret arrest. You know, so many times I'll be out to eat with business people, prominent people that invite me out to dinner. And even if they know about my show and invited me out because they have seen or heard the show, they still say, but isn't it kind of weird being into this? You know, shouldn't you not be so obsessed with this? And I'm like, how do I not be obsessed with knowing they're poisoning the food and water by design to sterilize me and to hurt my children and to hurt your children? I mean, I would have to be a lunatic to not be obsessed with this. And people are like, oh, it isn't that bad, Alex. No, it's that bad and then some, okay? Don't you get it? It's real. Don't you get it? It's all hiding in plain view. They think you're so stupid. It was on record that $2 billion, right at $2 billion, was transferred of private people's accounts to J.P. Morgan in London. That came out in Forbes, the Associated Press, the day after it happened. And it was just a minor footnote that they'd been transferred. And then a few weeks later, people couldn't get their money. It was like, oh, we'll look into it. And I'm like, look into it. It's right here. Corzine ordered it. It's on record. Then Corzine goes up and says, I know nothing about it, even though he was the CEO. And the head of the CME group comes out, that was the regulator, the private regulator over it, and says, no, he ordered it. I was in the phone calls. You don't move $2 billion without it being regulated. And the federal regulators, all in the three major groups, all the Securities and Exchange Commission, all of it, were formerly working under him at Goldman Sachs. He was the head of Goldman Sachs. It is so ridiculous. And I want to know why all the rulers over me now look like Pat from Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's weird. It's like discrimination. What about other women? What about other men? I mean, if you're for tyranny, hate liberty, and look like Janet Napolitano or Kagan, you go right to the top. I mean, is that like just... I mean, maybe it is like Mars Attacks, and really that's like a rubber suit, and it's a gray alien or something, and that's just what they manufacture off-world. It's that suit, that outfit, and that's... Maybe it is a dick. Maybe David Icke's right. Maybe she's a reptoid, and that's her like rubber suit. I'm joking before the New York Times goes with that. I'm going crazy, man. I can't handle it anymore. Folks, it is totally unconstitutional for the government to make you buy health care. And I've had lawyers on. I've read the court rulings. It's well known. It's totally illegal for her to sit in judgment of her own law she helped write and that she helped promote to Congress. On record. I just read to you senators pointing it out. Want me to tell you again? Section 455B, that's Section 455B3 of Title 28 of U.S. Code. I read to you earlier. But it gets worse. Wait. Unjust weights and measures, that's the Constitution term for discrimination, selective enforcement of regulations and laws is the essence, the spark, the soul, the heart, the core, the ether of tyranny and oppression. They don't want total government for everybody. That's for us, not for them, who openly engage in any crime you can imagine. UN, diplomatic immunity, running giant child kidnapping rings, snuff filming children, minor footnote, nobody gets in trouble. Diplomatic immunity they're pushing for to take over your country's taxes with carbon taxes, engage in any crime, and exempt themselves from their own rules. Shutting down the power plants and building them in China. Just every form of these crooks trampling us, laughing at us. No excess is enough for them, because that's the religion of domination. That's the whole point, is that it be over the top, till we just go into a catatonic state, fall down in a fetal position, and just, you know, kneel before an army of Kagans. Elena Kagan. It's so disgusting. Humanity is powerful, strong. We're the equivalent of a 10,000-foot silver giant with huge battle axes, and out toddles or slides like a slug, the spirit of the New World Order that looks just like Elena Kagan. That's why they like her. That's the spirit of it. Leaving a trail of pus, of half-digested children, you know, squirting out the back, because killing kids is what the New World Order is always into. In wars and euthanasia and abortion, she loves that. Killing kids up to 3. First it's up to birth, now to 3. Oh, yeah. So she's got this trail of the most nauseous, rotten meat-smelling thing you can imagine behind her, and she's about a foot tall and about 2 feet long, and she slithers up to a 10,000-foot juggernaut. And we just fall to our knees. She just lifts up her dress, and just the stink of rotten meat comes out, and everybody just falls to their knees. Oh, ruler, you're too powerful. Ah, and we're just like, take our children, stick your hands down their pants. And they're like, that's right, forward armies, pedophile trading, New World Order. Yeah, we're gonna slaughter everybody, because we're the authorities. She's a big fat maggot wearing a pearl necklace. She's Kagan. Bow to her and Janet Reno. Burn the kids at Waco. It's so trendy. I probably shouldn't even be on the air today. Was I in a good mood for one on air today? No, I wasn't. I was actually stomping around cussing, which I shouldn't be doing. It's really starting to get to me. In fact, I know what's happening. I got to get her off screen. I've got her on the TV over here, and it's making me mad right now. I was at the Supreme Court a couple years ago. It was on like a Sunday. We were just getting some B-roll. And a cop, you know, federal police, jumps out and goes, "What are you doing?" And I was down at the bottom, so I kind of turned into one of the marble feet, and it went through my Levi's and jabbed into my shin. Only time I ever had an infection like this. Got super infected. And I didn't know it. It was like rotting all the meat out inside my leg. I didn't know. I finally went to the doctor. So I was like bitten by the satanic building. And but it was the reverence of like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Do you know how important this building is?" You know, and he would talk about the justice. I ended up being nice to him. I said, "I'm going to talk to this poor victim." I was like, "Oh, really? Tell me what it's like to be around him." He's like, "Oh," and suddenly, "Oh, film if you want. Oh, it's so incredible. Oh my," he was all threatening to arrest me and stuff. You know, "You don't film this without permission." I'm like, I didn't say First Amendment, pal, watch it. I decided to do a test because I could see the guy wasn't evil. He was just a victim of the brainwashing. And I went, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted it for B-roll for my TV show." "Oh, it's your TV show?" "Oh, it's a political show, kind of libertarian in Austin." "Yeah, oh, it's so neat. What's it like working around the justices?" "Oh, must be really." And he's like, "Oh." He's like, "Oh, yes." And sort of just, his eyes got all starry. "Oh, it's so incredible. They're such incredible people. Oh, they're so powerful." I mean, he was like talking about spiritual cesspits of demonic weakness and servile evil and fraud. But he was speaking of it with great reverence and power, and just dripping with enjoyment and his enslavement and his commitment to serving it. I don't like these people, as you can tell. I can see them, and it's disgusting. They're a danger to everyone. I can barely control myself right now, knowing I'll soon be under their control with health care. They've already got their bioethics boards announcing that when you're going to be in a car wreck, they're going to try to, via computer, to tell the doctors that they can render care or not and what care can be done. I mean, the hellishness that these horrible demons are going to run health care.